Welcome to Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by FantasyGuru.com. Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 a.m. Pacific. Ray Flowers breaks it all down for you from a fantasy sports perspective. Morning, everyone. Ray Flowers of FantasyGuru.com. Happy Halloween Eve. Yeah, it's not a thing. Let's make it a thing here as I continue to wear my pumpkin sweatshirt. For those of you watching, you know what I'm talking about. For those of you listening, welcome, even if you're not watching. This is Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by FantasyGuru.com. I am Ray Flowers. I'm here with you Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Justin Frenchman's here with you on Wednesdays at 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Go about an hour each day. We're kind of in a nice groove now, talking mostly football, but we're going to talk some World Series today. I feel like we gotta do it. It's been asked a couple times from some of you. Say, hey, Ray, we'll do it a little bit today. In fact, here's what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to throw it up on the screen here. Talk a little bit about the Blue Jays being up 3-2 in the World Series. Blue Jays actually going to win this thing. We'll talk about it in a few minutes. We'll discuss a little bit about the waiver-wire, kind of go through the ins and outs of the waiver-wire, who spent what on whom in what leagues. It's a nice way for us to dive into talking about players as well. We'll also visit with Tyler Beucher in about 30 minutes. We'll talk a little bit about Week 9. We'll discuss Thursday Night Football, the Ravens and the Dolphins, as we do every Thursday with Tyler at 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. He comes on. We talk around kind of what's happening in the league. Then we get him to talk to us specifically about Thursday Night Football, and he even gives a bet most weeks, a free bet over FantasyGuru.com that he gives right here. As I'm speaking nonsense, I'm trying to do something with the technology. It'll make sense in a second. So I'll do that in about 25-30 minutes with Tyler. We have guests on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. All of them join at about 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. Again, this show, FSD, is on Monday through Friday at 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. I'm not here on Wednesdays because I'm with Jeff Mans on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio. Jeff's show is 12 to 1 Monday through Friday. Oh, excuse me. This is 12 to 1 Monday through Friday. Jeff's show is 2 to 5 Monday through Friday. These times are all Eastern. So listen, watch here. Head over to SiriusXM. Check out Jeff's 3-hour show. I'm with Jeff on Wednesdays. 5 places easily to view, listen to this show. 1, go to FantasyGuru.com and just click the Elite Plus tab on that toolbar at the top of the page. Easy peasy. Find the show's catalog there. Type in Fantasy Sports Daily where you listen to your podcasts. Type it in, and guess what happens? You get the podcast comes up. The 3 other places which you can leave comments and questions that we can address live on the show, or you can anytime watch on demand, obviously. Rewatch the show if you missed something. Those 3 places are youtube.com/@ElitePlusNetwork, facebook.com/FantasyGuruHQ, and Twitter X @FantasyGuruSite. And I always encourage people to say, hey, spread the word, tell the folks. We often get, well, Ray, you guys at FG are my secret weapon. I can't tell people about you. I understand that. I get it. Also, it's my job to reach as many people as I can, to make as much money as I can, to feed my family. Well, not really what happens, but you get the point. So it is appreciated if you spread the word about the show, especially this one because it's a free show. At a very minimum, I would really appreciate it if you see people asking questions in Discord over at FG. If you would tell, if you're a user at FantasyGuru.com, tell them there's a morning show. Like, I get questions every day from people and it's like, well, what do you think about this player, Ray? And it's like, well, I talked about that player on Monday. I got a question right before the show started asking me about Tyrone Tracy. And it's like, we talked about Tyrone Tracy here on Monday on the show. We talked about Tyrone Tracy here on the show yesterday. Talked about Tyrone Tracy with Jeff on the Elite Show yesterday. So we've actually talked about Tyrone Tracy 3 days this week. Everyone should know my thoughts on Tyrone Tracy. I might not be right. We can argue, debate that as the weeks pass on, but 3 days in a row now we've talked about him. It should be very clear what I think about Tyrone Tracy as an example. So please help folks out. If you notice that they're asking a question about someone that we spent 5 minutes on in the morning show, would appreciate it if you said something to them. Oh, by the way, if you want to get signed up at FG before we dive into the information, starting with that World Series discussion, the all-in MVP, all-in football package, the all-in football package is still available right now. It's $159.99 the rest of the way. That gets you every seasonal football thing we do, every DFS football thing we do, every betting football thing we do. So I mean every article, every live stream, every podcast, every Discord room, every ranking, every projection, all of it. For NFL and college football, it's the all-in NFL package. send an email to support@fantasyguru.com, support@fantasyguru.com. Okay, so that's the package. You can get any package. By the way, the MVP package is available. I'll throw that up there on the screen right now. The MVP plan is basically every sport we cover besides football and baseball. NASCAR, PGA, MMA, horse racing, soccer, hockey, basketball, all of that's in the MVP plan. So get signed up for the MVP plan right now. And oh, by the way, you probably saw that on the original rundown on the screen there, and it's in purple there. Ghost20 is the 20% promo code off everything through Monday or to Monday. I guess technically it's through Sunday until Monday. Promo code Ghost20. So I think, again, I can't speak to this exactly because I haven't gone through the process, but my understanding is whether you want to get the 3-for-1 football package, whether you want to get the MVP package, if you use the promo code Ghost20, you get 20% off. So another great deal. Boo, happy Halloween and all of you there. Use that promo code Ghost20 to get signed up over at fantasyguru.com. All right, let's dive in. Drew Liberty says, yes, get a sub, folks. Ted's on a heater, 3 for 3 in college football so far this week. Jeff smoked a plus 1,600 touchdown parlay. It pays for itself. He did. Lots of people. We saw a lot of screenshots. We shared them on social media and Discord, everything like that. It was great because, yeah, Jeff did hit I think it was a 3 touchdown parlay, plus 1,600 this last week. And, you know, obviously you don't hit plus 1,600s every week. But that's, you could have, I mean, threw $10 down on that, threw $25 down on that. You could make some serious money. Even if you threw $1 down on that, you made some money. So, yeah, Ted has been really doing a great job for college football. Jeff and crew, including Tyler Beucher, who we'll talk to in about 25 minutes, do an excellent job leading the football product as well. So check it out. Click that subscribe tab in the top right corner. And thank you for the promo, Drew. We appreciate it. It's also true, so that's always nice. Okay. Jays won 2 of 3 in LA, and they got a chance to win this series. They're heading home to Toronto. They're up 3 games to 2, and this is wild. Check this out here. What's the numbers here? History says the team breaking a 2-2 tie on the road in a best-of-7 series in the 2-3-2 format. So that's the Blue Jays. Those teams win the World Series 74% of the time. So according to history, and again, these, you know, there's validity to these numbers, but again, it's not speaking directly to the situation. But so they got a 74% chance due to the Jays being in the spot they're in right now of winning this series. And that would be rather remarkable. It'd be great for baseball. It'd be great for the Blue Jays, who haven't won a World Series in 32 years since Joe Carter. It'd be great because everyone expected since the offseason, obviously, for the Dodgers to be in the World Series and to win the World Series. They could still come back and do it, but the Blue Jays are absolutely in the driver's seat. Now, we're going to get Gausman versus Yamamoto in Game 6. Gausman's pitched pretty effectively in the playoffs. Obviously, Yamamoto has got 2 consecutive starts where he's thrown complete games. So there seems to be a pretty good shot at this series going to 7 games. But in Game 6, it'll be Gausman versus Yamamoto. If you look at this, you know, the big story last night, well, it's obviously twofold. Vladimir Guerrero continued to hit, and then Trey Yesavage doing dynamic things on the hill. There's been a lot of discussion. About what in the Discord room over at fantasyguru.com about what the outlook will be for Yesavage come next year in ADP. And there's even been a guest in the Discord room that he's going to be a top 25 pitcher. And I got to tell you, I mean, the way he pitched most of this season, the way he blew through the minors, the way he's done this excellent work in the postseason, we'll see. Threw 100 pitches for his first time as a professional in the outing last night. He struck out all 9 batters in the Dodgers lineup. That's only the 3rd time that's ever happened where a pitcher has struck out every single opponent on the other side. Randy Johnson in Game 2 in 2001 in the series, and Bob Gibson in Game 1 in 1968, you know, when Bob Gibson had a 1.12 ERA. So Yesavage is making history there. And there have also been 2 games in postseason history where the pitcher has struck out 10 batters, has actually had a point in that game where he struck out at least 5 consecutive batters, has struck out 50% of the batters he's faced, and has allowed fewer than 5 base runners by also getting the win. Now, that's a lot. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points. Like that. Both those starts in the history of the postseason in baseball were Trey Yesavage. Now, again, striking out half the batters you faced, Bob Gibson, those guys in the old days, they didn't do that, right? So, okay. But still, that's how well he's just locked in. Yes, Savage versus Yamamoto would have been fantastic. Oh, Manny, look at Manny. I see you there, Manny. $3 for Manny. We're happy to answer your question, Manny. I don't see it yet, but yeah, no, you can. Oh, it's up there, but okay. So we'll get to it in a second, Manny. I'll do it as soon as we get done here. As we talked about it all the time, you pay the extra cash here on the show. We're not money whores, but if you pay cash, we'll get to your question. So Manny, we'll get to your question here as soon as I'm done talking baseball. Just want to hit a little Vladimir Guerrero hit a home run again last night. He walked a couple of times. His on-base percentage in the playoffs is over 500. His slugging percentage is over 800. He's got 8 home runs. I mean, this is Barry Bonds level stuff. And this is why Vladimir Guerrero has always been looked at in the fantasy space as a superstar. He hasn't always been a superstar. He's had one special season. He's had multiple really good years, but only one special season. He's been overdrafted most years because he doesn't run. And, there's a big difference between hitting 48 home runs and 32 home runs. But this is also why the Blue Jays paid him all the money they paid him. He is a difference-making player. And when he's locked in, like he is right now, So this is going to be a lot of fun to watch. Yamamoto and the Blue Jays, Yamamoto and the Dodgers taking on Guerrero and the Blue Jays in Game 6. I'm excited for this one. Hopefully you are as well. All right, so Manny, here's Manny's question. I see it up here. Manny was offered a trade. Let's get into it. Manny's offered a trade in a half-point PPR setup. Manny, you're 6-2. Good job, Manny. Obviously having a lot of success here. Let's see. I'm going to make a little note here. One moment. Sorry, Manny. Okay. Being offered Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson for Pittman and Walker. I'm currently the owner of Walker and Charb Duo. Should I oblige? Good use of oblige. I am very reluctant to trade out of a handcuff situation. I think you did the right thing, Manny, by getting Charbonnet and Walker on your team. I know, and we've talked about this on and on and on. I know it hasn't really gone as expected in the backfield for the Seahawks. What we do know is the following. By all objective measures, Charbonnet stinks and Walker is better. Okay? All the data points, whatever you look at, I mean, I think that Charbonnet's last in football in Yak, as an example. He averages like 1.5 yards plus less per touch than Walker. Walker's just been better statistically. He's better visually. Eyeball test. He's a better fit for the offense. Jeff Mans identified this back in July, right? So this is all, but they're using both guys interchangeably. And so that is frustrating from a fantasy perspective. But I know they have Holani there, but if either one of Walker or Charbonnet were to get hurt, I think the other guy gets 20 touches. I don't think Holani comes in and he gets 14 touches. So I think that and this is a team that should be able to run the football too. So I'm going to try to, as best I can, to hold on to those two guys. That's a baseline point, number one. Number two, as you can see there on the screen, and I'm sure you know this, Manny, the Jets are on bye this week. So making a trade to get a guy who's on a bye is risky. You're looking at two guys on the bye. Hall and Wilson are both on bye this week. Wilson's also beat up physically. That's not ideal. There are still some rumors that Breece Hall could be traded. Even if he gets traded, he's not playing this week, so it doesn't matter. But I don't like teammates. I've said this on and on. There were many opportunities this spring where I didn't end up with Hall and Garrett on my team because I didn't want two Jets. There were scenarios where I didn't end up with DJ Moore, luckily, DJ Moore and DeAndre Swift, because I didn't want teammates. You really don't want running back, wide receiver teammates. You certainly don't want them on the Jets. The Jets' offense for most of the season has not been very good. Hall and Wilson have been very good because they are the offense. But they're both on bye this week. And frankly, we don't know who the quarterback is here. And I don't know if this organization is going to stick with Fields. I don't know if it's going to be Fields-Taylor. I don't know if it's going to be Taylor-Field. So as good as Hall is, and he's a running back one, and as good as Wilson is, he's a wide receiver one, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing it because they're teammates. I'm not doing it because of the uncertainty they have at the wide receiver, at the offensive side of things. I'm not doing it because of the uncertainty they have with the quarterback. And I'm not doing it because both guys are on bye. So I would turn this down, Manny. Keep your Charbonnet Walker combination. Keep Pittman, who's been a superstar this year, scoring a touchdown basically every game. Keep Walker and keep Pittman. 1-for-1 deal here. If you wanted to do Wilson for Pittman, again, we're talking about a bye week, so it wouldn't be good timing. But I just can't do this 2-for-2. Can't be taking on the two Jets for the reasons that I discussed. Hope that makes sense, Manny. And thank you to everyone for asking questions, leaving comments, and all that. And thank you, Manny. Appreciate the donation. It means a lot. It really does mean a lot. So thank you for that yet again. All right, let's talk a little bit about the situation with the bye weeks. Bye weeks: Browns, Jets, Eagles, Buccaneers. Remember that. My PSA yet again: whenever you're doing a trade at this point of the season, if you're still allowed to do trades, some of my leagues shut trading down yesterday. If you're still allowed to do trades, make sure you check out the bye weeks. Getting a guy who's already had his bye, great. Getting a guy who hasn't had his bye, not good. And you got to factor that in. You might have a deal that comes in. I see this frequently where people say, this seems like a no-brainer. I hate that term, no-brainer, but this seems like a no-brainer. Got to accept it. And it's like, well, it's a no-brainer, but you're getting one less game out of the guy you're getting than the guy you're giving up. And if you're, 7-1, who cares? If you're 4-3, I mean, if you're 4-4, because I can't count. If you're 4-4, can you be giving up that? You're going to make the playoffs. So make sure you check out the bye week results before you make a trade either way. All right, let's talk a little bit about the waiver wire. There are a bunch of leagues here that I'm in, and we choose a couple here. The SiriusXM Host League, 12 teams, super flex league with $100 to spend. Okay, so pretty traditional setup. A lot of you are in setups very similar to this. You can see that I got Noah Fant in purple for $400. He was the tight end that I added. I have Harold Fannin. I am breaking my own rule. My team in this league is just not very good. What's my record in this league? I think I'm like 3-5. Yeah, I'm 3-5. My record is not very good. So I'm actually holding a tight end through the bye. And Fannin, the reason being that I don't think that Noah Fant is an answer. Fant is a 1-week rental. I don't like carrying two tight ends. I'm again kind of breaking my own rule here, but Fant is just not somebody I can use the rest of the season. I don't have confidence in that, especially with the uncertainty whether Flacco's even going to be the quarterback. So I got to hold on to Fant in here. So we're going with Fant this week for $3. Is what it is. Kind of crappy. What are you going to do? Tyrone Tracy goes for $18, and as you can see there, failed bids of 18, 10, 8, and 3. So two people bid the exact same amount of money. The winner ends up going to the team with the worst record, right? But two people went 18. So 18% of the 100 was where it went. I think that's a fair price point for Tracy. I know a lot of people ask questions, and a lot of people were significantly interested in going. I've seen people ask me if they should blow their fantasy budget on Tracy. Again, this is now the 4th day in a row we've talked Tracy on the show here. No. Tracy will be fine. As I said, I think on this show, I certainly talked about it with Jeff yesterday. I said, I think what was on both shows. I think he's running back 23 to 29. Like he's a running back 2 flex. And that's fine, right? And a bid at this point of the season, based upon where you're at and the injuries, it's a totally fine price point. 38%, 48%, your remaining budget, that's where the problem is. If you're hopefully in the Tyrone Tracy business, you weren't in that aggressively. Tracy's a good ad. He's a usable piece, no doubt about that. But let's not get carried away. It's still a Giants offense. It's not great. He's still not a guy that pushes the pile. He's still likely to cede touches to Devin Singletary. Well worth investing at this price point. I think that's fair. Tyler Shuck went for $8. Again, this is a super flex league, so that's not crazy. Let me make a note here. Okay. Just noticed something. Okay, I may have to make a note here about something. I clicked the wrong thing. So $8 is a totally fine price point there. You look at the waiver wire when it comes to quarterbacks, and interestingly enough, I'm in the wrong league. Let's get in here. Here we go. Here's the right league. What league are we looking at? The SiriusXM Host League. There we go. I was making myself a little bit nervous there. In this league, if you look at the waiver wire, the quarterback position, there's just not much available. So yeah. Man, let me check something out here. This is host 1. Oh, yeah. All right. Bonanza City right there. We'll go look at that a little bit later. Okay. So Tyrone Tracy, Tyler Shuck, $8. Fine, whatever. Who cares? Superflex League, he's named the starter. We got a report yesterday that suggested he was going to be the starter the rest of the season. Let's go. Right? So that makes a hell of a lot of sense. And again, let's see what team he went to. He went to Adam Ronis's roster. Let's see if I can figure this out quickly. Where's Adam Ronis? League. Team Ronis. There's Team Ronis. Adam has got Bryce Young. Yes, he's got Bryce Young and Tyler Shuck. Oh, he's got Justin Fields, but he's on a bye. So yeah, obviously this is one of those scenarios where it's like you do what you got to do. Christian Watson went for 4% of the bid, $4. I said this a lot. Christian Watson is a touchdown, an injury, or a 5-point week. He's one of those three things. Like what he did last week, the 4 for 85, not traditional for him. He's very volatile. He's in an offense. It's very volatile. He's in an offense that will be adding back Dontavian Wicks. He's in an offense that will be adding back Jaden Reed, excuse me. So, at this price point, sure. You want to pick him up off the waiver wire, sure. But it's the hit or miss nature and the injury piece with Watson that we've discussed over and over again that you just can't ever start Watson and feel good about it. Like, at least I couldn't. I think he's a wide receiver 4. And I think most people adding him look at him as a wide receiver 4, and that's fine to add him. And again, do you want to go to the waiver wire? And this, I had a question. I think it was Shakir Watson, something like that. And it was like, well, Shakir is going to give you 9-10 points every week. Watson's going to give you potentially 3 or 4 points in a week. If one of these guys is getting 20 points, it's Watson, right? Watson could be the 302 guy, right? So the answer to, do you add Watson? Probably yes. The answer, do you start Watson? Depends upon what your team looks like and what you need. Just one of those scenarios. Jamari DK for $4, totally fine at 4%. Caught 70 yards of passes the last 2 weeks. We'll see what happens when Calvin Ridley returns, how much of the target share the DK is getting flips back to Ridley, but Jeff Manthis talked pretty highly about DK this last week. So again, $4, totally fine. Tune for $2, love that. Great addition there at $2. Not worth anything right now. ETN goes down. That price point would have been 32, 42. P. Ryan for $1, Bateman for $0, Isaiah Davis for $0, Ollie Gordon for $0. The Davis, Gordon for $0, we're obviously playing it forward. We got bye weeks we're worried about in the case of Davis. Gordon, obviously, stepping forward last week. We talked about this, stepping forward, being utilized more, seeing the field more, touching the ball, scoring. Still went for $0 in this 12-team league. So remember, everyone understanding that he's not a usable piece until and if HN goes down. Otherwise, you're really you're hoping for 8 points. And that's just not an enviable place to be for most people when you're talking about Ollie Gordon. All right. The ESPN, the Elite Listener League. This is me and some of you. Maybe some of you are even watching this, listening to this. Let's dive into that one right now. The Elite Listener League. Here we go. 12-team PPR setup, $1,000 to spend. Matthew Stafford goes for $113, which, as you can see there, is 4+ times the $25 that Kyler Murray went for. I mean, this week Kyler Murray should play, and he gets the Cowboys. And the Cowboys are atrocious. They have 4 interceptions this year, and they've given up 20 touchdown passes. They've also given up 3 rushing scores to the quarterback. That's 23 touchdowns like in 8 games. Like, they're just a bad defense. Kyler Murray should eat against them, number one. And number two, I don't really think there's much difference between Stafford and Murray the rest of the way. If you told me one guy would cost 4 times as much, you get the guy that costs a quarter of. I mean, that's what you do. So in retrospect, maybe an overpay, also an underpay. Like Murray for $25 out of 1,000. Is that how far he's fallen? Like, that's a really surprising number. Ray, why didn't you get involved? I have Josh Allen, so I got no need, right? So I'm not even bidding on these guys. But that is really interesting. Very, very interesting. DK went for 87 here. So what was he last? Was he 4% in the last league? 4% in the last league, 9% here. So, same range, single digits still for DK. Let's see here. DK also had bids of 46, 32, and 26. As you can see there, purple means he's on my team. I added DK. Why did I add DK? Because my receiving core, due to injuries, is Shaheed, who's injured. Juwan Jennings, who hasn't been any good. Wandale Robinson, who, and Emeka Egbuka's on bye. Yeah, exactly. So we bid on DK more than we wanted, more than we should have probably. As you can tell, the other bids were about half of that price point. But this team has very little receiving help. Guys on bye, guy dealing with injury, low-level plays. Tis what it is. You might wonder, Ray, why do you have some of these guys? I this is one of the teams. This is the team I didn't draft. My mom was sick; she was in the hospital and all that, so I didn't actually draft this team, which might be why you're hearing some of these names and going, "Those aren't Ray Flowers names." Yeah, they're not. That's because I didn't actually draft this team. Bam Knight went for $48. Now that's a really good addition. Now Bam Knight most likely will be the lead guy this week in a matchup where the Cardinals should have a lot of success against the Cowboys. He's a running back 2 this week. Bam Knight could, as early as next week, week 10, lose a ton of value, which is why that price point was probably low. Lose a ton of value because it's Cedric Benson could return in week 10. Not a positive, not 100%. We don't have any confirmation of that, but he's eligible to return at that point. And whether it's week 10 or 11 for him, it's very reasonable to think Benson takes over the lead in this backfield when he's healthy. That would be my call. That's what I would be expecting. Obviously, the folks in this league were expecting and seeing the same thing as well. Okay. All right. So let's move on to the final league. This is the FSGA League, 14-team league. $100 Roonies to spend on these players. This league, you have to spend $1 on a player through the FAB process. You can then add players for nothing off the waiver wire after the FAB process runs. My team is just Jay Daniels has been in and out of the lineup. I've had injuries and had to drop guys. Justin Jefferson's been fine, but a little disappointing. Trey Benson hurt. Tank Bigsby got traded, and he's a fine addition. Obviously, you can see here. I was able to add him this week for $8. We don't know on the situation with Saquon Barkley. There is a bye week this week for the Eagles, so it's assumed, everyone's basically assuming that Barkley will be fine and have his normal workload come week 10 after the bye. If that's the case, Bigsby is absolutely not usable at all because he'll get 2 touches. But he looked really good that last time out. And if you look at my team here, the way the backfield is broken down just hasn't happened. And you can see this. My backfield is Kenneth Walker, Tyler Algier, Trey Benson, Tank Bigsby, Devin Neal, and Jaden Blue. So this is one of those teams where if you were to send this team to me, I would say, ugh, that's my team. It's a 14-team league, so it's tougher. They're the experts, so it's also tougher. But my team's 3-5. It's just not very good. It hasn't helped that Jaden Daniels has been out of the lineup. Obviously, my receiving core has been a mess. This is just not a good team. And so, to be fair, and I got, Garrett Wilson's out with an injury. Only a bye week this week too. It just sometimes this stuff happens. And, what are you going to do? It's one of those leagues. Anyway, let's get to it. I had to take Bigsby for the $8. As you can see there, no one else bid more than $1. I have such a woeful backfield. I invested heavily here thinking, well, if Barkley does go down, we know how good the Eagles are on the ground. Also added Cameron Dicker for $3. There were other bids for 1 and 2. So I got my guy for $3. Woohoo. It's just a kicker and he's got a bye in week 12. So I won't be holding on forever, but my kicker, Elliott, was going on a bye, so I made the move to Dicker. I got the Rams defense in this week. My defense was going on a bye. Rams are facing the Saints. That certainly seems like a good opportunity for the Rams to have a big effort this week, so I added the Rams for $3 there. $3 for kicker and defense. Would I recommend doing that? No. Why did I do it? Because my team sucks. Like and my team sucks, and I'm at the point where I got to basically win out to make the playoffs. So I got to go. I got to give it the old college try. If I don't, I got no shot. So I got to be more aggressive. It doesn't matter if I have FAB money left for the playoffs. I got to get to the playoffs. So I bid a little bit too aggressively on those players. Going through this list here, Kareem Hunt went for 9% in one of the bids. We also had another 9% bid. So Kareem Hunt, we'll talk a little bit about the situation with Tyler Beucher in a few minutes. So stay tuned. I think that's one of the things we're going to talk about. We're going to quiz him on the Chiefs backfield and how he sees it playing out with Pacheco down. How long is Pacheco down? The Chiefs have an injury. A bye week next week. How much time? Lots of things going on with the Chiefs, but 9% of the budget was where we're at here. Christian Watson, we heard earlier, 4% bid. He was 8% here. So again, another single-digit scenario. Brandon Ayuk was added. A lot of Brandon Ayuk questions. I don't know. We don't know when he's going to be back. We've heard, quote unquote, week 10, 11, but we don't even know when Brock Purdy's going to be the quarterback. Like, it's just for 4 out of 100. Sure. Go for it. You got a good team. You got a bench spot. Go for it. Sure. What are we going to get out of Ayuk? When's it going to happen? The answer is we just really have no idea. Devin Singletary went for 4 here. So remember that. We were talking earlier about, Tracy. Devin Singletary also went for 4 here. So, someone thinking that, maybe we get 8 to 10 touches out of Singletary. JJ McCarthy added for $2. Dylan Sampson for $2 on a bye. Gordon for 2. So Gordon and Sampson right in that same zone. We just saw them out, I think, where the bids were 0 in the other league. And then kickers and defenses kind of round things out there. So hopefully that helps put in perspective kind of what the industry is thinking, what some of the leagues are thinking in terms of price points and interests in players. And I think it was probably most instructive when we had that conversation about Tyrone Tracy. All right. It is a Thursday, and every Thursday we talk to Tyler Beucher of FantasyGuru.com. Tyler is one of our lead football analysts. He does great work talking seasonal football, talking DFS, talking the betting. He kind of spearheads the betting. He'll probably have a bet later on Thursday Night Football here. He usually has one on Thursdays for us. He hosts the live stream on Friday nights at FantasyGuru.com talking DFS. He does the fantastic game script articles for the seasonal aspect of things. He's often on the live stream on Tuesday nights. He's writing articles. He's in Discord, and he's always here with us on Thursdays at about 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. So let's bring in Tyler Beucher of FantasyGuru.com. How you doing, Tyler?
Good afternoon, Ray. I guess good morning where you are. But yeah, excited to be here, ready to chat some football. We got an interesting Thursday Night Football game with two-win teams going at it with a massive 7-point spread. So we got two teams going in different directions. Excited to chop it up with you.
Oh, yeah, good. Thanks. We appreciate it. We're always happy to have you on the show, and you chop it up with the best of them with your analysis and everything. And, a lot of scenarios to talk about here as we still have 4 teams on bye. We have some teams that are in great shape in the fantasy space and some teams that are struggling in the fantasy space. We got some teams in the NFL doing the exact same thing. And one of these scenarios where an offense has really struggled, but apparently is getting healthy and coming off a bye is the Raiders. Genty hasn't quite lived up to expectations, but he's been fine. That's kind of it. Brock Bowers was supposed to be a star. He hasn't been because of injury. He's trending toward playing. He's practicing, and the expectation is he'll play this week. Jacoby Meyers catches 75, 80 passes every year. Hasn't been that guy for Geno Smith, but he's trending toward being active and playing this week. Myers and Bowers, where are we at with these two Raiders at this point?
Both players practicing in full on Wednesday. Great sign coming out of the bye week. We like to see that. They draw a home matchup here against the Jaguars, another team that is coming out of the bye week. I will say the Jaguars defense is a unit that we want to attack through the air. They rank number 2 in fantasy points per game allowed to the perimeter. They are really stout, though, against the slot. They are giving up the number 1 fewest fantasy points per game to slot receivers, which is super interesting because not only do we have Jacoby Myers with a 62% slot rate, we also have the newly acquired Tyler Lockett with an 83% slot rate. How does that shake out in terms of the rotation among the wideouts? So I quietly like Trey Tucker a lot. I think he's the one of the best in the best matchup. You throw in his ability to win deep down the field. The Jaguars are top 5 in explosive pass play rate allowed. It just points towards Tucker and being like the guy that I want to go toward. For those that drafted Brock Bowers, myself included, he's healthy. You're starting him. We are rolling this ride out the whole rest of the season. We saw Michael Mayer put up one good week when Bowers was out, but our goal here is just for him to get more involved in this offense, point blank. Week 1, he labored through that injury. All the reports said he should have been shut down for the next 3 to 4 weeks. He labored through 3 to 4 weeks, and then they shut him down for 3 to 4 additional weeks. So I'm hoping we get him here without any type of restriction, but we'll have to see about that in terms of practices. But the Wednesday report, at least it seemed optimistic.
Tyler, what about the situation with the Jaguars? Like, a lot of promise and excitement coming into the season. It's been uneven, specifically at the wide receiver position. And last time out, we saw Travis Hunter have his best game offensively, as he, I think, only played 12 snaps defensively. Like, he's kind of stopped playing defense. Like, I don't really know what they're doing with him, but the bottom line is last time out, he had 14 targets, I think, and he's ascending. Brian Thomas sucks. Brian Thomas can't catch. Brian Thomas is hurt. Brian Thomas is going to get traded. He's not getting traded. There's all these things going on here with these two guys. Who are they in the second half of the season? Are they close? Is one guy clearly ahead of the other? Are we underestimating one, overestimating the other? Talk to us about Hunter and Thomas.
Yeah, this is an interesting one. The Raiders are a good spot for both these guys to kind of kick off the second half of the season on the right foot. They're giving up the 7th most scheduled adjusted fantasy points per game to opposing wideouts. They're number 3 in highest completion rate allowed, which is notable for a guy like Brian Thomas Jr., who's been struggling with hauling in those passes. They're number 3 in completion percentage over expectation to receivers aligned out wide, and number 4 in passer rating allowed. You mentioned Hunter, that 14 target outing in London right before the bye. I think that is hopefully a sign of things to come. First 100-yard game, reached the paint in that matchup. I like him and BTJ both equally as like a wide receiver 3 fantasy play. So like that's the wide receiver 25 to wide receiver 36. I think both these guys have a lot to prove, and these have mostly just been variable plays where you're either getting a decent floor, a low ceiling, or something of that nature. We really just haven't seen it all come together in terms of Trevor Lawrence really doing well within the context of this offense. And it's just really kind of, it hasn't been helped by his wideouts. Like these first 7 weeks, they lead the league in drop rate, but I'm kind of optimistic that they might change things around in terms of getting better. The problem is I don't know what they're going to do schematically to get things rolling aside from just giving Travis Hunter more volume. I was so happy to see him finally not in that like 3 target range, and we're actually going to get some usability from him. Problem is I don't know how many people used him in that London matchup because people are so frustrated with him. Yep. So we'll have to see how this goes this back half of the year. But I'm again sheepishly optimistic, but I'm not all the way sold in on the BTJ top 15 draft pick that many people are taking here early in the year. I don't think you're going to get those type of returns.
Godfrey's 81 asked the question, is Trevor Lawrence ever going to come close to the hype when he was drafted? My answer to that is no. He was supposed to be a Hall of Famer. Now he's struggling to be a top half quarterback in the NFL. You see it differently, Tyler?
No, somebody asked me a start sit or rest of the season question with regard to Lawrence, and my answer is he's a wild card week to week. You're playing him based off matchups. That's not going to ever come close to the hype in terms of expectations and him being a number 1 draft pick of what people were expecting in terms of his career.
And the money he gets paid too. Oof. Good luck, Jacksonville. Next question, Diggs and Boutte with the Patriots. This is really interesting. Drake May has been fantastic. He's been one of the breakout stars of the league thus far. He's been absolutely terrific. He's doing what we don't like, though, from a fantasy perspective, spreading the ball around. We really like it when it's very pyramidal, right? We like it when it's Nakua and Adams. We don't like it when it's one of 6 guys. He's doing the Jordan Love thing to some respect here with the Patriots. Diggs has been fine, but he's, I think, missed expectations a little bit. And, he plays a lot less snaps than you would think he would. Versus Boutte, who's on the field all the time, and Boutte's scoring touchdowns. Now, I think the perception is that Boutte is past Diggs. Is that how you see it? But more directly, who is Boutte? Because, 4 touchdowns in 3 weeks get your attention. But this guy's played 8 games. He's had 2 games with 4 catches. He has half of his games he didn't get to 9 PPR points. Is he really what people are paying / thinking he is at this point?
No, I think people are misled there in terms of the touchdowns, and I can't fault anybody for chasing touchdowns. This year, just fantasy scoring in general has just been kind of down, and a lot of that's due to like how the NFL has just kind of made some seismic shifts in terms of just the meta, quote unquote. We're just seeing fewer plays, fewer production, and less time on the field. Like it just seems like everything's being like with these shorter fields through the kickoffs, we're seeing a lot more drives end in field goals, and we're seeing fewer teams going for 4th down and extending those drives, creating more opportunity. So with the opportunity being somewhat capped, the fact that we're playing with an offense here in the Patriots that they're doing fantastic. I mean, Drake May is the number 1 quarterback in EP per play. He's a legitimate MVP candidate. I think he's top 3 in odds right now. But he's also a quarterback that's playing within the design of the offense. They are number 3, I believe, in first read rate, throw rate. So they're constantly throwing to the guy that the play is designed for. And the way this offense is set up, multiple players are that player. So it's being the targets are well dispersed in this offense. You throw in the upside that like a guy like Boutte has. In terms of like touchdowns, he's just consistently on that field as that field stretching X. And whenever he's in a notable matchup advantage or a singular coverage call where it's a one-on-one, May is taking those shots whenever he sees Boutte deep down the field. And more often than not, he's hauling them in for touchdowns. So shout out to him for living up to that LSU hype that he had at one point. But to answer the Diggs question, it's more like, in my mind, because of the way May is spreading the ball around, and like other quarterbacks that are very high in first read rate are guys like Daniel Jones. We see a lot of Colts pass catchers doing real well this year. Patrick Mahomes, also in the top 3. We're seeing multiple Chiefs wideouts being viable. A guy like Diggs, to me, is more of a floor-based play where we look back on that Buffalo game fondly because he looked like a man on a mission in that game. But other than that, it's been just kind of floor-based fantasy production from Diggs, and that's fine. It's just not what I think a lot of people had hoped for when we grabbed him round 6, round 7, which again, it's not elite capital or anything, but you're hoping your wide receiver 4, your wide receiver 3 could make that top 24 ascension.
Right.
I just don't see it happening with Diggs. It's just going to be a volatile ride. So those that did invest, stick with him, because I think there will be spikes, but there will also be some valleys. And last week he had that 3-catch, 15-yard game. We are lucky he got in the end zone. Otherwise, we'd be very, very upset.
Yeah, it's not often you get a touchdown and you're trying to get to double-digit points. It's not ideal. Tyler Beaker of FantasyGuru.com joins every Thursday at 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. A couple more situations to talk to him about before we get to Thursday Night Football. Commanders. This one's been a mess. Daniels has been hurt multiple times. Terry McLaurin's now hurt again. That same injury, his leg. And, McLaurin, and this is, not trying to go back and tell people ha-ha or anything, but many times in Discord in particular, I was asked questions about making trades to add Terry McLaurin. And my response was always, why are you trading for an injured guy, right? Like, number one, why are you doing it? Number two, we're getting really into the season. We haven't seen the guy we were expecting. It's probably fair to change expectations, et cetera, et cetera. Now we have another tweak of the leg for McLaurin. He's not playing this week. Maybe he goes on the IR. We don't know. Even if he plays, who is Terry McLaurin? I mean, what are we doing with Terry McLaurin? Is it just a sunk cost? Drop him? Is he, well, let's hold and wait and see. Is he somebody now to make an offer because the owner's going to be so pissed off? Like, what are we doing with Terry McLaurin?
I would not go out and try to acquire him. I have that same mindset of you of not trying to buy injured players, because you never know if there's going to be any type of setback. Perfect example. Yep. Or any type of delay in their recovery. There are a lot of variables that can go with this type of situation. If you're a McLaurin owner, I think you are forced to hold, because we saw last week the production and the big plays are still very viable for him, and that was with Mariota throwing the ball. Jaden Daniels set to return this week. That's huge for this offense in terms of just their overall ability to stay on the field and be productive. So I would be holding him, but I would not be looking to acquire him whatsoever. So I think you just kind of have to ride out this injury. You're hoping maybe it's just a 1-week thing, but you played your cards. Like, you drafted McLaurin, a guy that is 30 years old, didn't get any of this summer to warm up his legs and get those valuable reps with his holdout. You rolled the dice, man. You didn't get a 6. Sorry.
I don't know if it's scientific or not, but I think this is just yet another anecdotal situation where if someone's in a holdout, don't draft them. Like, it seems an awful lot of times when these guys are holding out for those big contracts, they just don't. Micah Parsons, maybe he's different. Like, so it's not, but just if there's an A or B, a draft day, and one of the guys is in there and one guy isn't in there, maybe you consider going away from that guy.
I might throw age into that too.
That too, 30. Yeah, he's not young. So he got paid, and good for him, but I don't know. And Jeff Mans and I were talking about this on the Elite Sports Show yesterday, and I was like, is he ever Terry McLaurin again? Like, is it over? I mean, that could be dead weight city with the amount of money they're paying him for the production they get. We'll see. What about the backfield with the Commanders? Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt is the guy. He's the lead back. In some respects, the numbers are productive. In some respects, the eyeball test is solid, but he's not really doing anything. Is this just a function of the offense kind of being stuck in neutral? I know some people with JCM are like upset, and it's like, what were you? He's a waiver wire pickup. Like, what were you? I don't know. Who is he usable moving forward every week? Is he a flex option? Is he I don't want to be involved? What do you think?
I think he's in that back end RB2/flex kind of grouping where he's kind of borderline depending on the matchup for me. Mm-hmm. I've been starting him in some leagues out of desperation, like a guillotine league where I don't really have it's him versus Charbonnet. I'm going to roll the dice with Bill over Charbonnet. Sorry. Mm-hmm. But speaking of the Seahawks, they play them this week. They're a pretty stout run defense. I'm not expecting this to be a good matchup for him to get going on the ground, but also keep in mind, like, he's been working with Mariota for like 3 of the last 5 games. They've been trailing game scripts where they've been putting out the pass catching backs instead of him. So there's just not been pristine opportunities for him to get going. I do envision things turning around and getting better for Washington with a healthy Jaden Daniels under center, but I don't know if it happens here in week 9. The Seahawks are a pretty stout run defense. So I think he's still in that back end RB2 discussion, but you're going to be doing the mental gymnastics of which back do I start over him week in and week out, because you can talk yourself out of that pretty easily.
Tyler Beaker of FantasyGuru.com. Here's one of the big ones of the week, and it's a scenario that might have a very short shelf life. What is going on in the backfield with the Chiefs? Pacheco is hurt right now. He's not going to play this week, right? Okay, we don't know how much time he's going to miss. Maybe it's just one game because the Chiefs have a bye next week. There are leagues where Hunt and Smith are both on the waiver wire. There were leagues where only one of them was. What is your expectation for the workload this week? It's very easy and simple to say short yardage stuff to Hunt, third down, stuff to Rashad Smith. I don't know if that's generic analysis and it's accurate or not, but it's a matchup where there could be a lot of points this week. We've seen it before between these two teams. What are you doing with the backfield this week with the Chiefs, and what are you thinking is likely to happen? Injuries always, but likely to happen the rest of the way for this Chiefs backfield.
Yeah, they showed the broadcast of the Pacheco injury where he was getting looked at by doctors and he hopped off the table, ran around giving high fives to people. Right? Yeah. He looked good. So I think this is really just a precautionary thing. Okay. A good matchup here this week against the Buffalo Bills, who are just decimated in the front seven with injuries. They've been a run funnel all year. And these two teams, the way they play, they don't want to get in the shootouts because each team is capable of doing like a 3-play, 80-yard drive with a touchdown. Right. They'd rather do the time of possession victory where slow and steady, milk the clock, limit the opponent's ability to put up points on the board. Right. That's how I envision this game playing out. So we're probably going to see a decent amount of Kareem Hunt, especially when it comes to third and shorts, running the ball. I mean, Mahomes is not one of those tush-push guys. They generally try to avoid him in terms of getting injured in that respect. He will go out and make his scrambles for sure. He's been doing that more often this year than any other year before. We were looking at like basically playoff level Mahomes where he's just rushing to this degree. It's been awesome for his fantasy value. Let me say that. He is scoring more fantasy points this year than we've seen in the last 5 years on a per game basis. And it's fantastic. He's back to the QB1 dynasty owners that spent multiple firsts to acquire. They're finally getting that return on investment. I digress. I think Kareem Hunt's a fine play this week, honestly. And he's the type of player I vehemently hate. Like seeing him score touchdowns, 2 touchdowns last week, right, is beyond tilting. Right. But I do acknowledge this is a week-to-week game. Fantasy football is a week-to-week game. I say it all the time in our Discord channel.
I saw you say it yesterday. Yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. Rest of season questions I do not care about. We are playing for this week. We're going for the win. Kareem Hunt, to me, is a guy that can get you a win this week because I think he's going to reach the paint here in this matchup against the Buffalo defense that is without Ed Oliver. Multiple starting linebackers are banged up. It just looks like a great spot for the Chiefs to win in the trenches there. So I'm going to think Kareem Hunt is maybe a top 18 play, like a mid-range RB2. Okay. And then Rashad Smith is just kind of that sexy PPR pass catching back. We want to hit the ground running. I just question the volume, but maybe we see the type of split that we've seen with Pacheco and Hunt where it could be drive for drive. It could be hot hand. It could be more than just the long down and distance snaps for Smith this week, which is great because that's really kind of always been utilized as whenever they've been in third and longs. So he's been catching 3 catches, 20 plus receiving yards, like 5 of the last 6 weeks or so.
Till last week. Yeah.
Till last week. Yeah. This is probably a good spot for them to get back to it. Buffalo plays a lot of too high, a lot of zone. You want to target pass catching backs against this specific type of defensive look. So I think it's a good spot for Smith as well, who may not be the RB18, but if he reaches the paint as well, maybe we do get a top 24 outing from him. I kind of view him more as a flex play though, but he's been a guy we've been all just stashing. This is a decent week to play him.
Tyler Beucher, fantasyguru.com. One more question before we talk Thursday Night Football. Tyler Shuck, the young quarterback of the Saints, is now the quarterback. There are reports that he's likely to be the guy the rest of the way, which I think is the right thing for this organization to do. Spencer Rattler's just not the answer for this team. What does the change at quarterback do for the offense? Does anyone pop to you? Are you intrigued, excited about this move? Does it not matter? The Saints are just kind of the Saints.
Well, the first 5 weeks or so, we saw a lot of dink and nugs from Rattler where he wasn't really attacking vertically. I think Shuck will provide some more of that, but it's also going to be a lot more variability where the floor that we've had from both Olave and Shaheed has been rock solid. That floor is far more variable now with Shuck there, where I don't think we're going to get the 5 for 50 that we could write in ink with Olave. I think that's gone. Okay. But we might have a better chance at a 90-plus yard game. So I think that's kind of fine. Like it may come out as a wash in the end, but there will be some Jalen Waddle type of outings here, I think, in terms of the peaks and valleys. So that's my big expectation. Shuck as a guy, he's a really athletic quarterback. He'll get out there and make some plays on the run. He'll rush for some first downs, but he's also a guy seeking that big play deep down the field. And that's exciting. but it's also going to be very different than what we've seen from Rattler these first 7-8 weeks.
Tyler Beaker, fantasyguru.com. Thursday night football, Ravens, Dolphins, as you mentioned, 2 teams with 2 victories. One team still thinking they got a legitimate chance at the playoffs. The other team, I don't think they think that way. Let's talk the Ravens first. Lamar Jackson's back. I'm not saying he wasn't hurt. Okay, he was hurt. That whole thing was, he didn't really look like he got hurt when he got hurt, and then it was weak and weak. He's supposed to be 100%. I think he's had plenty of time to get to 100%. I'm assuming he's Lamar Jackson. He's not going to go out there and be a pocket passer. Is there anyone besides Zay Flowers as a pass catcher in this offense that you can start? I mean, we want to start Mark Andrews. None of the other receivers, get more than 3 targets a week. Is it Zay Flowers and that's it? Is that all we got?
Yeah. We can move on.
Okay,
yes,
yeah.
There are 4 teams on bye. I would not want to put any of these guys in my lineup as a replacement. In terms of the wide receivers, we're looking at purely Zay. The tight ends, I drafted Mark Andrews in multiple leagues, and I've moved on because I just have acknowledged the ceiling's probably not there. Last year, he got by via touchdowns. Maybe those touchdowns start coming back again.
They all started about this point of the season last year, too, because it was 10 of the last 11 weeks or something, right?
Yeah, he definitely caught fire towards the end of the year. Some of that might have been injury related as well. So I think he's still in that murky tight end 8 through tight end 20 group I reference all the time. So it is what it is. I don't think this is the matchup for it. I really think we're just going to see a healthy Ravens team. Last week coming out of their bye, a lot of defensive players came back. They looked really good defensively. Right. And when you look at the matchups against the Bears and the Rams, their last 2 games, 2 potent offenses, both held, I think, to a collective 16.5 points per game against the Ravens. Mm-hmm. So maybe this Ravens defense is finally turning around, finding their footing. They still have lost some key contributors, particularly along the defensive line. So the run game's still a liability, but I think the Ravens defense is back to where we want it. This week, I think the offense comes full circle, where we get back Lamar, we get to see everybody healthy. And in my eyes, a healthy Ravens offense means a healthy run game. So we're looking at, in my eyes, Derrick Henry going nuts. We saw Atlanta shut down last week by Miami's defense. Miami sold out to shut down Bijan.
Yep.
They dared 8-year-old Kirk Cousins to throw against them.
Yeah.
They came out on top. They're not going to come out on top if they dare Lamar Jackson to do that. Lamar, the first 3 weeks, quarterback 1 in completion percentage over expectation, quarterback 1 in yards per attempt, quarterback 1 in passer rating. They were averaging 37 points per game their first 3 games. I am very, very much thinking that this is not a team you want to dare Lamar to beat you with. So I think we're looking at a very big Derrick Henry game where he's just the engine of this offense. We get back to that cliche, but it rings true here where in victories, the Ravens are just going to lean on the run game. They're going to lean on Derrick Henry. So Derrick Henry alts, Derrick Henry multiple touchdowns, they're all in play in terms of betting.
So you think, if you're putting words in your mouth, because he has been, there's been no consistency with Derrick Henry, and there's been some poor efforts because he's not a pass catcher, right? You're basically attributing a lot of that to the fact Lamar Jackson's been out of the lineup, and with Lamar back in the lineup, you still look at Henry as a running back 1 most weeks, if not all weeks.
Yeah, the defenses have been able to do the crowd the box, prevent the outside runs. When you sell out to stop the outside runs, though, you've got the cutback now angle for Lamar Jackson on keepers. A lot of these RPOs, where I envision that being maybe the priority to shut those down first. So I do think it provides a lot of life to Derrick Henry, who we really haven't seen much in terms of that. The ability to put up ceiling outings really is since week 1. It's just been kind of a disaster for the most part. One thing I wanted to touch on too is the third down stuff where he's just off the field consistently. That will always be a wart for him for fantasy owners this year. So even with Lamar back, do not expect any kind of change there.
Tyler Beaker, fantasyguru.com. Let's flip things over to Miami side of things. Tua Tagovailoa played 2 horrendous football games through 6 interceptions in 2 games. Last time out, had 6 incomplete passes through 4 touchdowns. So the performance in terms of the numbers couldn't be worse, it couldn't be better, right? Really all over the place the last couple of weeks. You mentioned the Ravens, how they're getting healthy, how the defense is starting to look better. Tua's not a mobile guy. His game is taking his drop and throwing the ball, making a read, second read, chuck it. He just gets rid of the ball. They don't want to get him hit. He's not going to scramble and move the pocket. To me, this is just an uncomfortable scenario to be starting Tua Tagovailoa in this matchup with the Ravens. Do you agree?
Yeah, and you look at the matchup too. doesn't look great in terms of a schematic matchup for them. The Ravens play a good amount of single high. They play a decent amount of man coverage. Tough spots for everyone aside from Jalen Waddle, who has some good single high splits, which makes sense. I mean, he's the type of burner that wins on the vertical game on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
But man, the NFL not for long moniker it rings true when you look at like how well Tua played last week against what I thought was a very formidable Atlanta defense, a defense that's up there in blitz rate. They're up there in limiting passing production, and they just got dog walked by Tua. So I don't know what to expect. That's what kind of makes the NFL fun, is any given Sunday, quote unquote.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just rolling out all the cliches today. Yeah, it's just, this one's tough for me to read. Honestly, I don't really want to spend a lot of money in this game. We'll talk about some bets later, but this is just a matchup where I'm just probably not going to spend a lot. And we'll go light here, knowing that there are better games ahead.
Obviously, you mentioned Jalen Waddle. We're comfortably starting him. Okay. Is there anyone else? I mean, there's no tight end on this team. Malik Washington catches 4 passes every week, but it's 10 to 35 yards. Like, Nick Westbrook-Akine doesn't catch passes. Cedric Wilson had his first catch of the season, I think, last week. Like, is there anyone besides Waddle that you can look at in this matchup and say, even in a DFS scenario, want to get this guy going, or is it just no?
I mean, even Waddle, he's not getting elite volume. I didn't even mention this. Both these teams are bottom 3 in total plays per game. So we could be looking at a very capped ceiling in terms of how much volume is just there for anybody in terms of receptions, passing attempts, rushing attempts, everything across the board. If you're doing any of those counting stats for betting, be careful on hitting overs, because there just might not be simply enough opportunities for these guys to get to the numbers that you may be expecting. Waddle just hasn't been getting a ton of target volume. That same thing can be said for Malik Washington, who, at least with Waddle, we're getting some efficiency boosts with the way he plays. I don't see those same efficiency boosts with Washington, which makes him more of the Wanda Robinson of yesteryear type of plays, where we're just hoping he breaks one. And what's the saying? You can put hope in one hand and something else in the other.
Dookie? Yeah.
It's something like that. Yeah. So I just, Washington is just not a player I'll ever roster. It kind of circles back to the Keyshawn Boutte conversation we had, where I'd rather take swings on those volatile guys, knowing the upside when it hits is far, far greater than the floor that I get from a Malik Washington style of player. So good luck. I will not be rostering him in any formats.
Yeah. I got asked a couple questions about Christian Watson this week in Washington. I'm like, get Watson. I'm not saying Watson's the guy you want to start, but you're going to throw him in there and need 18 points. Only one of those two guys scoring 18 points is not Washington. It's Watson, right? So I would agree with you there. Tyler Beaker, fantasyguru.com. You mentioned a bet. You mentioned bets. I don't know. Do you have bets for this game? Do you have a bet for this game? You said you weren't going to get heavily involved. What's the word, Tyler? Talk to us on this one.
I'm not getting involved with this game, actually.
Okay.
I am betting on the Ravens, though. And here's how I'm going to do it.
All right.
We're going to talk a little futures here, Ray.
Okay,
futures.
Let's do it. Sure.
The Ravens enter this matchup with 2 wins, as we talked about. Their first 6 games of the year, 5 of them were against the Bills, the Chiefs, the Lions, the Texans, and Rams. 5 of 6. The only one that wasn't was the Browns. 5 of those 6 made the playoffs last year. We got Lamar for 3 of them. Right. The first 3 games, they averaged 37 points. The next 3 games without him, they averaged, I think it was 11 points. So big difference. Yep. We also, like I said, mentioned that everybody's getting healthy on that defensive side. The offense is also getting healthy now. I like the idea of betting on the Ravens to just parlay the success that they've had in a very, very weak AFC North division that has Aaron Rodgers at the helm, Joe Flacco at the helm, Dylan Gabriel at the helm. The leader of this division right now is the Cincinnati Bengals with a 2-0 record. The Ravens are 1-0. They're just 1 game behind. I think there's a good chance that they catch this team in terms of winning the AFC North. So there's many ways you can play this in terms of like futures. But when I look at the rest of the schedule, the Ravens are coming off a top 5 most challenging schedule these first 8 weeks before their bye. Their final 8 or 9 weeks, whatever the math is now, it's the easiest schedule in the league. So they've got to face, let me list their quarterbacks they face. Tua, J.J. McCarthy, Dylan Gabriel, Justin Fields, Joe Flacco, Aaron Rodgers, Joe Flacco, Drake May, Jordan Love, and Aaron Rodgers. I'm counting 6 to 7 wins there. an 8-9 win team, that might be all it takes to win the AFC North this year. You can get Ravens to win the AFC North at -125 on FanDuel. You can get Ravens over 8.5 wins for -130 on DK. You can get Ravens to make the playoffs, FanDuel -142. All three of those angles I feel like are very legitimate for this team that's hopefully turning a corner. We just saw what I thought could be the start of it last week, where they beat the Bears and what could have been called an upset. Should they not get penalized for that reporting of the practice squad
right?
stuff?
Which the coach had nothing to do with.
But. Right? Yeah, this team's never been around long enough for that. I think you can go any of those three angles I mentioned in terms of an NFL future for this Ravens squad, which is a team I want to invest in now as they're on the come up.
Tyler Beucher, fantasyguru.com. Let's hit a couple of these chat room questions before you shut things down here. Malik Washington, who we just talked about. Philly Dawkins asked, Malik Washington or Darius Slayton? Slayton is more of the big play threat, obviously. Is he going to have the volume or the catch total of Washington? But the potential. Is the answer to this question for Philly what the rest of his team looks like, or is there an obvious just an answer for you, Tyler?
I'm playing Slayton. I'm going for the upside here. I mean, this guy had a 67 or 68-yard touchdown wiped off the board last week due to offensive pass interference. It was very reminiscent of the Diggs play where they were just like hand fighting and then they called it a late push off. Kind of BS in my eyes. So I'm going Slayton here. They got the 49ers. They just got dog walked by the CJ Stroud-led Texans. 300-plus passing yards, multiple passing touchdowns. Without Nico Collins, this team still threw all over the yard against the Niners. I think without Fred Warner, this defense, without Nick Bosa, I mean, this was a team held together with scotch tape and glue entering the year. And it's just, I think, falling apart at the seams. I think this is a defense we'll be wanting to attack all year. So I'm going to go with Slayton.
Caleb Williams or Jackson Dart? Fantasy Arnold has a question here. Williams has been solid this year. He hasn't, I don't know if he's, Jeff Mans and I were talking about this on the show yesterday. I don't know if he's really taken a step. And to me, he's slightly below expectations, but a couple of big weeks, he can end up being quarterback 8 this year. It's not out of the realm of possibility. And then you've got Jackson Dart, who obviously is dynamic, exciting, all that kind of stuff. Lost his lead running back, lost his lead wide receiver. Dart or Williams, you got a favorite this week?
I would probably play Dart, to be honest. I think the loss of Scadaboo may lead to the Giants passing more. And like I said, I like the matchup quite a bit against San Francisco. The pass rush just isn't there. And you can really attack this defense through the middle of the field. Good spot for Wanda Robinson. Good spot for Theo Johnson. I would go Dart. I mean, throwing his rushing capabilities, his ability to play out of structure. Caleb, to me, is just Caleb is on that Trevor Lawrence trajectory of pure wild card. We don't know what we're going to get. And his slow processing in terms of like time to throw, I believe it's league's highest rate, or it's top 3 for sure. We're not getting the steps forward. I feel like we're treading water. We're not going anywhere. We're just getting the same results week in and week out. And I'm kind of sick of watching it. So I'm going to get Jackson Dart.
Well, let me ask you a difficult question. DJ Moore, do you have a real explanation as to why this just stopped? I mean, DJ Moore for multiple years, for multiple organizations, for multiple quarterbacks, catches 5 passes every week. Gets you 65, 70 yards every week. He's done it for years. Did it last year with the Bears. Things changed, a new head coach. People were really excited about the offense, and he's turned into Malik Washington. Like, do you have a real explanation as to what's going on with DJ Moore?
I think we'll get some news once he's released from this team. I think it's behind the doors stuff that we're not privy to, where he might just flat out hate Caleb Williams or something like that to that degree.
Right.
I don't know. I think there's an animosity. You see their interactions on the benches and in some of the Bears media, and it's just like the least genuine friendship kind of thing I've seen in a minute. Throwing the fact that Dunze is a top 10 pick, Dunze is just tearing it up. It's not that Caleb can't produce a wideout like that. We saw it with DJ Moore. What was it, 2 years ago or 1 year ago? So there's the possibility of him putting up a big year for Chicago. It's just, I think his next big year is elsewhere in New Jersey. And I hate saying that as a guy who bought a DJ Moore jersey a year ago.
Well, I hate that as someone who rostered DJ Moore in multiple leagues this year. Final question for you. E.R. Baderman's got a question about the running back position. All these running backs. Rashad Smith, who we talked about earlier. Bam Knight, who we talked about earlier. Kenneth Walker, who we talked about earlier. Kamani Vidal and Chase Brown. The Chase Brown one is particularly interesting because he has been ceding more snaps to Sanjay Pirine. He's been ceding more touches to Sanjay Pirine. Now we're not certain if Joe Flacco's under center. Let's not forget Jake Browning has been terrible this season. just terrible when under center, which could implode the entire offense. So we need 3 of these 5 guys: Chase Brown, Kamani Vidal, Ken Walker, Bam Knight, Brashad Smith. Go.
Yeah, I'm looking at Vidal and Ken Walker as the first 2 for sure. I think your Chase Brown call is spot on in terms of it being contingent on Joe Flacco being there, because the Bears' run defense has been abysmal all season long. I can say the same thing for Bam Knight going up against the Dallas Cowboys' run defense, who's also very poor.
Yep.
So I would make that call contingent on Joe Flacco's status. Should Flacco play, I'm playing Brown. If Flacco is out, I'm pivoting to Bam Knight. Bam Knight plays that Monday Night Football game, so you've got that late opportunity to do so.
Tyler Beucher of fantasyguru.com. As you can see there on the screen, use the promo code GHOST20, GHOU. Oh, can't even spell as I try to spell. GHOST, ghost, folks, not ghoul, ghost 20, as title last me. I was never good at spelling. I probably shouldn't have tried it there. That was always my weak. So I'm good at writing, good with numbers. Spelling was never, and they didn't have spell check when I was a kid, so I just butchered words all over the place. How are you at the spelling angle?
4th grade spelling bee champ over here.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I still got the bookmark that I earned.
Nice.
A laminated bookmark.
Oh, wow. Good for you. They really went all out. Not even a medal or a trophy, huh? Do you remember the word that you won it on? Do you remember?
No, I don't remember anything, no.
Yeah, we used to take flashcard spelling tests when I was a kid. Like you get 20 of them on a thing, and you'd sit with a friend and they'd have the sheet laminated and, superstitious or whatever the hell. And I was hoping, give me 15 out of 20. I was just hoping to get, it's like, I got to carry myself with the storytelling part because the spelling is just not my jam. Tyler Beucher joins us every Thursday at 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. As you can tell here, does great work on the show, does great work on the live stream on Tuesday nights doing seasonal. Friday night live stream, does a great job hosting the DFS discussions. He's in Discord all the time. He's writing seasonal articles all the time. He is all over the place. You can find him on social media at Tyler Beucher on Twitter X. Tyler, as always, thanks for joining us today. Anything in particular you want to shout the folks out with as we close the show down today?
Yeah, I appreciate you guys all tuning in. Today I will be posting my DFS wide receiver coach, where I go through the slate looking at some ideal plays at the wide receiver position for cash games, single entry, or MME, everything across the spectrum there. And then Friday night, I've got my DFS live stream show. I will be having Russell Clay on, who will also be on this show tomorrow afternoon.
Double duty.
Doing double duty. Yep. Mm-hmm. Actually, triple duty. He's also doing our betting show on Friday.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's right. The Circus Show. Yeah.
Circus Show, yes.
Yeah, okay.
So shout out to Russ. We'll see him plenty over at Fantasy Guru over these next 48 hours. And then Saturday, I've got my game script article, which will be posted, going game by game, looking at pace of play, individual matchups, play calling tendencies, and which players stand to benefit the most. So be on the lookout for all that. It'll all be over at fantasyguru.com.
Great article there, folks. Check it out on Saturday. Make sure there's not much going on a Saturday, right? They break the news on who's going to play or not at 12 o'clock at night, 3 in the morning. So before you get to there, read Tyler's article, help you set those lineups and all that kind of stuff. Tyler, thanks again for joining us. We'll see you again next Thursday.
Yep. Thanks, Ray.
He's Tyler Beucher, joins us every Thursday at 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. We'll be back tomorrow at 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And as Tyler noted, I'll be joined halfway through the show by Russell Clay, all of us of fantasyguru.com. For Tyler, I'm Ray. This has been Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by the one and only fantasyguru.com. We'll see you on Friday.